Welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Leo here. Caden, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good, Max. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty ecstatic because we got a big weekend of college football championships coming up, Caden. 10 different conferences.
9 different conferences.
9 different conferences. RIP Pac-12. We're going to be talking about today. Let's hop right into it. In the first game, starting off on Friday.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, no NFL this week. We're strictly doing every conference championship this weekend. Just big college football weekend.
Yes.
Helps also is the perfect weekend because both the Patriots and Broncos happen to be on a bye this weekend. So just perfect scenario right here.
Correct.
And yeah, to get us started for championship weekend, you have the Conference USA championship game between Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State, where Jacksonville State's a 4.5-point favorite.
Yeah, Caden, 4.5 is a very tight line. That just goes to show you this is really, could be almost a 50-50, more like a 60-40 type ball game. I like the 4.5 for Jacksonville State. This is a team that's, won a lot throughout the season. They've been the most consistent, I would say, within the conference.
Oh, for sure. I'd agree.
And, they've had some pretty impressive performances this year. I think just knowing that team, they've been comfortable. They've ridden it out. I don't see why they don't win this football game.
The Gamecocks are a really good team, but this is a little interesting matchup because the two teams did play last weekend in Western Kentucky, where if Western Kentucky won the game, they were in the championship game. They ended up getting that victory by 2 at home. So now it's going to be kind of weird to see what happens, this week. Just 1 week removed from playing each other. This time in a bigger setting, obviously, conference championship game, no home field advantage. But even with that being said, I do think, like last week proved that they can hang with Jacksonville State the whole time and keep it close. I think 4.5 might be a little high. I think Jacksonville State will probably end up winning this game, but I like it more of like a 2-3 point victory for them. So I'm going to go with Western Kentucky to cover the spread.
Okay, Caden. And the reason why, I'm glad you brought that up, I say Jacksonville State, is because it's hard to beat a team twice.
Oh, for sure.
Especially within playoffs, playoffs, this is the championship. I think it becomes extremely difficult. And not only that, like you mentioned, just, it being such a
back-to-back weeks
turnaround. I liked Jacksonville State to get, victory here.
Yep. Our big one, though, on Friday night, where the winner will go to the college football playoff champion. The college football players, because Tulane decided to lose to Memphis on Thanksgiving. If Tulane didn't lose to Memphis, UNLV wouldn't be a shoo-in if they win this game. But speaking of UNLV, we have them against Boise State for the Mountain West Championship, where Boise State's a 4.5-point favorite.
Okay, and this game is going to be
electrifying.
It's going to be a lot closer than I think nationally people might think, because they know, Ashton Jeanty, of course. I think this UNLV team may be under the radar. To an extent,
I can see, yeah.
To the casual, I would say,
casual, I would agree with that.
College football fan, but they're dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
They're well coached, Caden, and man, they find ways to win. This one's gonna be exciting, but I am gonna have to ride with the Boise State Broncos. Shout out Uncle John to cover and get the victory.
Yeah, I mean, Malik Williams is a true two-way quarterback here. He's looked really good ever stepping into that starting role, and it was week 4 after their starting quarterback quit for the season. They weren't paying him his money, so he quit.
Yeah.
Malik Williams stepped in after being one of the best D2 dual-threat quarterbacks, and he's been one of the best D1 dual-threat quarterbacks this season. Malik Williams is the real deal in college football, and he looks really good. But we saw earlier this year when they played, a lot of people were backing UNLV in that game. They were liking them to not only cover, a lot of people were picking them to win that game. And then Boise State did what Boise State did with the back of Ashton Jeanty. I mean, they've been just a pretty sound team offensively this year. They won that game only by 5, so barely would have covered this 4.5. I just think with how big the playoff implications are and the way it's looking like right now, if Boise State wins this game, not only are they going to be in the playoff, they'll get that first round bye because they're going to be ranked at against either an ASU or Iowa State, which we'll talk about here in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think Boise State just can come in a lot more hungry, wanting to win this game, get that win, and get that cover.
Going to be exciting.
Our last game to close out the Friday slate of games is in the AAC between the Army, who's surprisingly little miracle season between Army, little one-loss seasons all for them.
Yeah.
Against the Tulane Green Wave, we just spoken about, where they are a 4.5-point favorite.
The Green are 4.5-point favorite.
The Green Wave are a 4.5-point favorite.
Caden, this Army team, like we've talked about, is exciting if you like running.
If you like the triple option,
it's exciting to watch. But once that gets shut down,
they don't got anything else.
They ain't got anything else. And I think that shows an easy recipe for this Tulane team. Shut down the run, and you're going to win. And I think just the fact that Army's so one-dimensional in a game of this caliber, it makes it really hard for me to see them coming out with a victory. But with the 4.5, being the hook. I do think they actually cover, Caden. I think this game's going to be really tight, and even if Army doesn't win, I think they for sure cover.
Yeah, I mean, Bryson Daly's obviously been this great quarterback for Army this year, leading the nation in rushing touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. It's either him or Genty.
17, yeah.
They're both over 20-some, which is just insane. But then, yeah, you look at this Tulane team, which has really surprised me this year. Losing Michael Pratt after last season, who had been their cornerstone quarterback, leading them to these 9-10 win victories every season. Now they basically go on without him and just do the exact same thing, make it to the AAC championship game. And like I said, they don't lose to Memphis on Thanksgiving. This game could have possibly been a playoff opening for them if Boise State would have lost. It would have been really tough for them, the committee, to decide between them and UNLV.
Yeah.
But now that they lost the game, they're eliminated. So really, it's kind of like pride for the conference.
It is.
I think, though, it'll still be a good game between the Army and Tulane. But I'm going to ride with the Green Wave here to get that little 4.5 point cover.
I like it.
Let's get to our Sunday game, though, where you got the more Power 4 conferences, the really big games. Where to start off the morning, we got a great one in the Big 12 between Iowa State and Arizona State, where Arizona State's a 1.5 point favorite.
Okay, and it kills me that the Buffaloes aren't in this game. Definitely should have been there. Should have taken care of business against Kansas. But that being said, I'm riding with Bo Scatabo.
Oh, yeah.
And, the ASU Sun Devils, shout out Ryan,
Take
care of business this weekend. This team just, they have full energy. They're backed by their coach. They're passionate, and they are deadly. They can gash you. We saw, against that Arizona game, how they just blew them out the water from the gate. Dominant run game, able to throw the ball. That's a recipe for success in these times. Now, Iowa State ain't no joke of a team either, Kane. This is going to be in a close matchup. That 1.5 point line just shows you what it is. But ultimately, I think ASU has the team, the players to get it done.
Yeah, like you said, first off, Bo Scatabo is going to be the difference maker in this game. What we've seen these last handful of weeks out of him has just been remarkable. He's getting 3 touchdowns a game, basically. Yes. And I could see him doing this against
just named to the All Big 12 first team as well with R.J. Harvey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can see him doing this against Iowa State, even though Iowa State's this really sound good team. We've seen them have their faults this season, whether it be, they obviously lost to Kansas. It took that miracle. Actually, they got walked off on by Tech, basically. But took a miracle for them to beat UCF earlier in the season to remain undefeated at the time. That you look at this ASU team, and these games that they're winning, it's not like some of them have been close, but they've been in control. Like even that BYU game, that came down to they barely won. They were dominating that game for the entire game and just let a couple late scores make it kind of close. But they've been dominating, especially in this back half of the season, where I think ASU will come in, be able to take care of business, clinch their spot in the playoff, cover that 1.5. I see them winning somewhere between that 5 to 8 range.
I don't disagree with you, Kane, and give credit to ASU. Like the Colorado Buffaloes, they were a team last year, underperformed, completely had a 180 this year. Very impressive.
Now, though, we get everyone's favorite conference for midweek football. If you're a true college football fan or just a big better like yours truly, you love your Tuesday, Wednesday night action.
Love it.
Anything can happen in those games. And now in the conference championship, you got Ohio versus Miami of Ohio, where Miami of Ohio is a 2-point favorite.
Kid, obviously, like you said, Maction's
the GOAT.
Who really knows?
Maction's the GOAT.
Who really knows who's going to win this game? But, going strictly off the fact that I like Miami, Ohio in NCAA, I'm going to go with them to get this victory, Caden.
Yeah, both teams I've seen have been really solid this year, especially for the MAC play. Like Miami, Ohio has shown their flashes. But what I've seen more with the Ohio Bobcats, they've had these games where not looking like they're going to win. Then they'll find these late heroics or something like that to be able to come back and get the victory. And I think not only are they going to cover the 2 in this game, I think Ohio is actually going to come out as your MAC champion.
Ooh.
After, it looked like, everyone preseason's like it's going to be Toledo or something. Toledo kind of fell off here, and I really think Miami, Ohio really, I guess, surged to that. They've more exceeded preseason expectations than, I'd say Ohio, something like that. But I do think Miami, Ohio just could fall a little short here, and while the Ohio Bobcats are come out with the victory and the cover in this game.
All right.
Now the big dogs. The biggest game of the week right here. Little 2 p.m. game. The Georgia Bulldogs and the Texas Longhorns for the SEC Championship, where Texas is a 3-point favorite.
Caden, I'm surprised Texas has opened up as a 3-point favorite, being honest with you. I thought it would be around a 1-point line.
That is true.
Based on, how close that first game was.
And with Georgia winning
winning it, exactly, is a big point. But I like Texas, Caden. I think this is the time your Longhorns finally break through. I think the Georgia team is wounded. They've had a tough battle. Like going against Georgia Tech, that game, 8 overtime. It takes a toll.
They should have probably lost that game.
Yeah, and being in those slugfests, those slug matches where you have to grind it out and play all 4 quarters, and you're not just blowing through opponents, really favors in towards Texas's hand, Caden. Because not only was that Texas game tough, you're going on that last stretch of conference play. This Georgia team's beat up, and not only that, I do not trust Carson Beck.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Like ever since that Texas game is really where his issues started. Ever since that Texas game, he loves throwing to the opposing team.
He does.
It seems like you're gonna find at least like last year. He had this great season with Georgia and everything. Like top quarterback in the draft. Ever since that Texas game, week after week, you're just seeing his stock draft just fall. His draft stock just fall, just at a steady decline. Because he just loves throwing to the other team. Like, he'll make his good passes here and there, and then while they're making a drive, while they get a scoring range, or while they need a big drive, here's a pick right to a corner, a linebacker, something like that, nice and easy. But yeah, Texas, as long as they play their game, like, if they play like they did in that first half against Texas A&M, I think this would be a great game for Texas. They'll win and cover. The second half of that A&M game would make me a little scarier because they did not play great, especially offensively. Yes. Their defense still played great in that second half. But what you really need is the offense to play like they did in that first half against A&M. Find Quinn, be mobile in the pocket because they're going to be rushing heavy like they did in that first game. Find Gunnar Helm on your checkdowns. Let Jaden Blue, Quintavion Wisner get open. And then when you take your deep shots, find Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond, something like that. And when you do, make your throws.
Yep.
And then Texas will be able to get in there, get that win, get that cover, and be looking for that nice little bye heading into the playoffs.
And like we said, Caden, it's hard to beat a team twice.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely got to like Texas's chances.
Now that we get to the Sun Belt, or as some people call it, the Fun Belt.
The Fun Belt.
We got the Fun Belt Championship here between the Marshall Thunder and Herd and the University of Louisiana Monroe, where ULM is a 5.5-point favorite.
Caden, UNLM has had a great season this year.
General Booty.
Yeah, General Booty. Shout out him making the transfer. And I'm impressed with that team as a whole. You could tell they're bought in with their coach. They really rally behind him. And talk about a team that rallies behind their coach. You say the same thing about Marshall, right? These are two programs that I would say done it the right way. They build up, they teach, fundamental football, really strong structural teams, really, close matchup. That being said, I do think Marshall with that 5.5 will actually be able to keep it close enough to get a cover. Whether or not they win now is going to be up for debate, but I do have to say I like Marshall's chances to get a cover here, Cade.
Yeah, this game depresses me a little bit as someone who was really big on App State going into the season, who then just had an awful season. They were so bad this year. But this could be maybe a little recency bias coming my way.
Okay.
But watching Marshall beat James Madison in double overtime last week and ruin my parlay really makes me think they're going to get the cover this weekend at the 5.5.
Yep.
I think Marshall, the way, I've seen them obviously throughout the season too, but really just that last week game really sticking in my head because it cost me like $45 on a $5 parlay. But I really think, ULM, they've had a really good, exciting, kind of surprise season.
Yeah.
I think Marshall, though, is a little more well-rounded, well-coached team. We're going to be able to come in. Like you're saying, the win's a little iffy, but I do think the 5.5 is just a little too high for them.
I agree.
They'll be able to get the cover.
I agree.
Now that we get to our good old Big Ten championship game, which we went over this last week, but Ohio State should be in this game. They didn't lose to Michigan of all teams, but we got Penn State and Oregon, where Oregon is a 3.5-point favorite.
Caden, I just don't see a scenario where Oregon finds a way to lose this game.
I don't either.
It's going to be hard for Penn State, even with a 3.5, line. I still like Oregon to cover that. They're the better team. They're better coach. They've shown it all year. I hope they still lose. But
shout out Michael Wall.
Shout out Michael Wall. Going with the facts, going with the truth. I just think this Oregon team is better, and they're going to win.
Yeah, like I've said all year, Drew Aller's not a good quarterback. He's not good in college. Won't be good if he ever starts in the pros. He's just not a good quarterback. Well, I don't think Dylan Gabriel's anything special.
I don't think he's anything special.
He's a lot better than Drew Aller.
Dan
Lanning's a much better coach than James Franklin, who's like Ryan Day and doesn't know how to win a big game. This spread kind of confused me. I thought Oregon would be like a 5.5.
I was thinking the same
point
thing.
Favorite, but no, 3.5. taking Oregon. I'm hammering Oregon.
I like
This should be a nice, easy win and cover for the Oregon Ducks, I think.
Yeah, Caden,
secure that one seed.
I'm going to be honest. Of all the conference games we've talked about, this is probably the game I'm the most sure about.
Oh,
the winner.
Same.
I just, like I said, I don't see Oregon losing.
Penn State's not good. They got their tight end, like Warren, who'll have somehow like 2 rushing touchdowns a game.
Yeah.
He's cool and all. He's made some sick catches this year. Like I remember that one in the USC game where he just completely mossed the defender in the end zone. But yeah, Drew Aller's not good. Dylan Gabriel's better. Oregon Ducks are just a better football team. Penn State's they're going to lose by at least a touchdown, if not double digits.
I don't disagree.
I'm probably going to bump this up a little bit, probably play like an Oregon -6 or something. Get the little plus money in there maybe. Okay. And just reap in the rewards as the Ducks win this game.
I like it, Caden.
Our final conference championship, we got my SMU Mustangs against the Clemson Tigers, where the SMU is a 2-point favorite.
Caden, the Miami Hurricanes fumbled their chance.
Oh, they fumbled their chance against Syracuse.
Giving, Clemson an in, which, we've talked about. I like this Clemson team defensively. Yep. I think there's a lot of good things about it. They're hungry. Obviously, they're coaching, and the coaching staff has the experience.
Definitely, they have the experience, yeah.
But, Caden, we've talked about these SMU Mustangs. We watched them all year. Upset. Pushed through adversity. Even with their one loss, they bounced back.
The one loss was also to BYU at BYU.
Yes.
So, and they only lost by a field goal. Like, that's a tough loss.
100%. Yeah. Nothing to discredit them. I like this team, Caden. I think they keep rolling. I think they find a way to win and find a way to cover.
Yeah, I mean, this is one really interesting game, though, because if SMU loses this game, I still believe they deserve a spot in the playoffs.
I think so.
But somehow the committee put Alabama at 11, which made no sense. South Carolina should be ahead of them. I think even Miami should probably. I don't know about that actually. But Alabama should probably be ahead of Miami, but South Carolina should be ahead of both of them. It's just gonna be interesting. Like, while I do like SMU, I'm gonna agree with you here. I do think they get the win and the cover. I think they're just a much better football team. Clemson, like I said, they have the experience, especially with Dabo Swinney, who's not actually that good of a coach.
He may not have been.
I don't think Dabo Swinney's that good of a coach, but I really have faith in this SMU team to get this win and cover. But if Clemson does end up winning this game, I think it would be really hard for the committee to leave SMU out. I wouldn't be surprised if those people who are known for making dumb decisions, I know Louisville would have got boat race. They still should have made it last year as a 13-0 Power 4 conference champion. There's no way SMU should miss it over Bama. Like, not both teams. SMU should be in the playoffs no matter what. Clemson needs a win, I think, to get into the playoffs. I agree. But if SMU, I like them, yes. I think they're going to win this game, secure the bye, get the win, and be rolling going into the playoffs. But if they lose, the committee better not leave them out of the playoffs.
I agree, Caden. We've been heavy on them. Going to continue to back them. Put SMU in the playoffs.
Yeah, please.
That being said, we hope you guys enjoyed this video. Follow our Instagram to be able to see our picks, because we'll have a graphic. You guys can see all 10 picks we went through. Other than that, Caden, any other final comments you like to add?
Yeah, as well, the Instagram, make sure, because we're also posting our best bets every primetime NFL game. Correct. All the UFC cards every Saturday and Sunday for college and NFL. So make sure you look out for that. And also with this video, make sure you like, share with all your friends, family, neighbors, anyone. Subscribe to the channel, turn on those post notifications so you never miss a podcast.
Most definitely. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you all next time.